Welcome to Duggar News 24, your daily source for the latest updates, headlines, and deep dives into the world of the Duggars. Subscribe and stay informed 24/7. Josh Duggar's latest attempt to get himself out of prison has been foiled, again. The disgraced former 19 kids and counting star, who is currently incarcerated in Texas after being convicted in December 2021 of receiving child sex abuse materials, CSAM, filed a motion last month with the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Arkansas, asking that he be appointed a lawyer to help him fight to challenge his conviction. However, his request has since been denied. According to KNOA/KEFTA News in Fayetteville, Arkansas, U.S. Magistrate Judge Christy Comstock said in an order filed last week that Josh's motion to appoint counsel both lacked sufficient detail and failed to justify the request under federal law. According to court documents, while courts can appoint counsel in certain post-conviction cases at their discretion, this can only be done if the petition presents a non-frivolous claim and meets other factors, which the judge determined that Josh's case did not meet. In his attempt to persuade the Arkansas federal court to provide him with a new legal team, Josh wrote a letter last month to Judge Timothy L. Brooks, who handled Josh's first trial, explaining that he was seeking the court's assistance in appointing counsel to help evaluate my case and, if appropriate, prepare a motion to vacate, set aside, or correct my conviction and sentence. In the letter, which was obtained by The Sun, Josh touted his alleged behind-bars activities before noting that he believes there are significant issues relating to his case that merit a post-conviction review. During my time of incarceration, I have worked diligently to focus on education, personal growth, my faith, and to maintain strong family ties, he wrote. However, as I review my case, I believe there are significant issues relating to trial error, evidentiary rulings, and other constitutional violations that merit a thorough post-conviction review. I am unable to fully assess these matters on my own, which is why I seek the assistance of qualified counsel to help evaluate whether relief is justified, he continued. Josh concluded his letter by thanking the judge for his time, consideration, and continued service to justice, before signing off with, "May God bless you and this court." As the Ashley told you last month, Josh also stated in his letter to the judge that he is no longer able to afford a private attorney due to his current financial circumstances, and therefore was in need of a public defender. As you may remember, this isn't the first time Josh has attempted to get the court to take another look at his case, or to get himself released from prison. Back in 2022, Josh filed an appeal, claiming his former friend Caleb Williams was to blame for the CSAM found on the work computer of Josh's now-shuttered car lot, Wholesale Motor Cars. That same year, the father of 7 and his legal team continued arguing for Josh to be granted a new trial for receiving CSAM, alleging that Josh's rights were violated during the 2019 raid on his car lot and that he had been denied the ability to present a case against Caleb during the 2021 trial. Josh's, now former, legal team fought for a new trial again in 2023, but in August of that year, Josh's appeal and request for a new trial were denied. Despite multiple failed efforts, Josh then petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court for another trial, but he was denied again in June 2024. Josh is expected to remain in prison until at least October 2032. In a quiet but firm ruling from the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Arkansas, disgraced reality television figure Josh Duggar has once again faced a legal setback in his ongoing attempts to overturn his conviction for receiving child sexual abuse material, CSAM. Once a prominent face on TLC's 19 Kids and Counting, Duggar now sits behind the walls of FCI Seagoville, a federal prison in Texas, with a sentence that stretches into the next decade. This latest chapter in Duggar's legal saga began in May 2025, when he submitted a handwritten letter to the court, hoping to secure a court-appointed attorney to assist him in filing a post-conviction relief petition. The letter, addressed to Judge Timothy L. Brooks, the same judge who oversaw Duggar's original trial, outlined Duggar's belief that his conviction was plagued by constitutional violations, trial errors, and flawed evidentiary rulings. But in a decision handed down by U.S. Magistrate Judge Christy Comstock, Duggar's request was denied. Judge Comstock's ruling noted that Duggar failed to provide sufficient detail to justify the appointment of counsel and did not meet the criteria established under federal law. According to court documents, federal judges may appoint counsel in post-conviction cases if the claim is non-frivolous and other legal factors are satisfied. Duggar's motion did not pass that bar. In his handwritten letter to the court, Josh Duggar sought to present himself as a changed man. He described his time in prison as one of reflection, learning, and spiritual renewal. During my time of incarceration, I have worked diligently to focus on education, personal growth, my faith, and to maintain strong family ties, he wrote. He described his renewed faith and his efforts to improve himself despite the confines of prison life. But central to his letter was a plea for legal help. As I review my case, he continued, I believe there are significant issues relating to trial error, evidentiary rulings, and other constitutional violations that merit a thorough post-conviction review. He went on to argue that, due to his current financial circumstances, he could no longer afford a private attorney and needed a public defender to assist him. Duggar concluded the letter with gratitude. Thank you for your time, consideration, and continued service to justice. May God bless you in this court. Despite the polite tone and appeal to morality, Judge Comstock was unswayed. Her ruling stated plainly that Duggar had failed to articulate any substantial legal claim that warranted further review. There was no compelling argument for appointing counsel at taxpayer expense, and his motion was denied. This isn't Duggar's first attempt to challenge his conviction. Since his 2021 sentencing, the former reality TV star has engaged in a series of legal maneuvers aimed at undoing the court's judgment. Most notably, in 2022, Duggar and his then legal team attempted to pin the blame on Caleb Williams, a former employee and family friend, alleging that Williams was responsible for the illicit material discovered on a computer at Duggar's used car dealership, Wholesale Motorcars. The court rejected that argument, finding the evidence against Duggar overwhelming. In their filings, prosecutors demonstrated that Duggar had installed software on the dealership computer designed to bypass accountability filters, and that he had been physically present during the times the CSAM was downloaded. In August 2023, Duggar's legal team filed yet another appeal, claiming that he had been denied the opportunity to adequately present his defense during the trial, particularly the chance to more thoroughly explore Williams' alleged involvement. That appeal was also denied. Even the highest court in the land refused to intervene. In June 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court rejected Duggar's petition for a writ of certiorari, effectively ending that particular avenue of appeal. Despite all these denials, Duggar has continued to pursue every possible legal path, with this latest motion being the most recent, and perhaps most desperate, effort. Josh Duggar's fall from grace has been both dramatic and tragic. Once seen as the wholesome oldest son in a devoutly religious and ultra-conservative family, Duggar's public image began to crack in 2015. That year, a police report surfaced revealing that, as a teenager, he had molested several underage girls, including some of his own sisters. Although no charges were filed at the time, the revelation led to the cancellation of 19 kids and counting, and marked the beginning of Duggar's public unraveling. Later that same year, Duggar was exposed as a user of the adultery website Ashley Madison. He admitted to having a pornography addiction and being unfaithful to his wife, Anna, with whom he shares 7 children. The final blow came in April 2021 when federal agents raided Duggar's business and arrested him on charges of receiving and possessing CSAM. The material found was described by federal agents as among the worst they'd ever seen. In December 2021, Duggar was convicted on the charges and sentenced in May 2022 to more than 12 years in federal prison. Since his incarceration, Duggar has been serving his sentence at FCI Seagoville in Texas, a low-security federal prison known for housing inmates convicted of sex-related offenses. According to reports from those familiar with the facility, Duggar has kept a relatively low profile. He has, as he noted in his letter, engaged in religious study and attempted to maintain ties with his family. His wife, Anna, has remained publicly supportive, though she has made few statements in recent months. Duggar's parents, Jim, Bob, and Michelle, have also largely stayed out of the spotlight, perhaps wary of further scrutiny. The Duggar family brand, once a pillar of evangelical American media, has suffered irreparable damage. While some members of the Duggar family have attempted to rebuild their public lives, such as Jinger Duggar, who has published a memoir critical of the family's strict upbringing, others have continued to shield themselves from public commentary. As of now, Josh is not eligible for release until at least October 2032, and any further reduction in sentence is contingent upon good behavior and participation in approved rehabilitation programs. For Duggar to successfully file a motion to vacate, set aside, or correct his conviction under 28 U.S.C. SS 2255, he would need to present a strong legal argument based on newly discovered evidence or a significant violation of his constitutional rights. But Judge Comstock's recent ruling suggests that his current claims do not meet that threshold. While the court does have discretion to appoint counsel in certain post-conviction proceedings, Comstock wrote in her ruling, it may only do so if the claims are non-frivolous and involve complex legal or factual issues that require the assistance of legal counsel. Mr. Duggar's petition, as it stands, fails to present such a claim. Without an attorney, Duggar may still proceed with a pro se motion, one he files on his own behalf, but these types of filings are notoriously difficult to pursue successfully, particularly for complex federal crimes involving digital forensics and constitutional law. Public sentiment toward Duggar has only grown more critical over time. Once seen as a victim of teenage mistakes, the revelations of the past decade have painted a far darker portrait, one of calculated deceit, manipulation, and criminal behavior. His latest motion has been met with a mix of apathy and outrage on social media. Some have mocked his continued attempts to shift blame or claim redemption, while others have pointed out the cost to taxpayers if the court had granted him a public defender without clear legal merit. This man has had more chances than most ever get. One commenter wrote on Twitter, "He's not seeking justice, he's seeking escape." Still, the larger context surrounding Duggar's story raises questions about the intersection of faith, fame, and accountability. His former television platform served as a megaphone for evangelical ideals, but behind the scenes, darker realities were brewing. As public discourse around sexual abuse, religious institutions, and internet crimes continues to evolve, the Duggar case remains a cautionary tale. For now, Josh Duggar remains confined to a life of routine behind federal bars. His repeated legal failures have not dulled his determination, but they have narrowed his options. Without court-appointed counsel, and without the ability to afford private legal services, he may be nearing the end of his judicial road. There's no telling whether Duggar will try again. He has proven, if nothing else, a persistent litigator, but each failed motion adds another layer to a legal record that increasingly reads less like a call for justice and more like a man trying to rewrite the story of his own undoing. In a system where every motion, letter, and filing must stand on its legal merit, Josh Duggar's latest attempt to return to the courtroom has been soundly rejected, and the gavel for now has fallen silent once again.